to talk about the productivity tools. One of them, we actually have three. So we have the Civil 3D tools, the AutoCAD tools, as well as the Revit tools. And today we'll take a deeper dive in the Civil 3D productivity tools that we offer. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and jump into the software. And so I have a simple data set here that I'd like to demonstrate the tools with you. And when you install the MicroCAD Civil 3D tools, they will appear as an additional ribbon up top in your Civil 3D interface. And the first thing that you need to be aware of is how to activate the tool. So we give you the serial number and the download link. And then you can simply download it, install it, and then come open up Civil 3D here. The very last icon, the small little key icon up top on the top right. Click on that, and this is where you can punch in the serial number and hit activate, and it will be ready to go for you. So once you have it activated, the Civil 3D tools tailor for many different work that you can do with Civil 3D. They don't introduce any more Civil 3D objects, but they help you navigate your civil drawing, manage the visibility of your objects, and help you design the Civil 3D objects in a little bit easier and faster way, and makes it more efficient. I'd like to also add the fact that if you have the AutoCAD tools, you can install those as well and have the ability to work with AutoCAD geometry as well as Civil 3D geometry in more efficient manner. So the first thing I'd like to show you, one of my favorite, is the visibility manager. On the right end here, there is a simple small dialog that basically lists for you all the civil objects that you have in the drawing, and by simply toggling the light bulb on and off, you can manage the visibility of geometry really fast. So like we were accustomed to using the layer commands for AutoCAD geometry and using the styles for Civil 3D objects, we now have this manager here that can just let us, with a simple toggle, I can turn off the objects that I'm not interested in, like pipe networks, pressure networks, alignments, as well as the surfaces. I have some points here that I might want to turn off. So really quickly, that way you can turn on and off the geometry that you don't want during your design process. One of the nice features is also the fact that these are contextual. So for example, if I click on my catch basin here, I normally get the pipe network ribbon, contextual ribbon, but we also add to the contextual ribbon with additional tools that we offer here. And as you can see, there is the hide selected object here, so that turns off the network. And then I can go back into my visibility manager and turn it on again if I want to. So you have the tools available contextually as well. Another nice feature, just to better navigate and understand the drawing, especially if you're working in a team environment, is just to be able to navigate the drawing and see where things are. So for example, if I'm looking at this section view here and I want to take a look at where the parent alignment for this is, so I simply click on alignment, select my section, and it brings me to the alignment right away. I can do the opposite way, like if I want to take a look at the profile view of this particular alignment, I'm zoomed into the location really quickly. You can do this from Prospector as well, but it tends to be like a lot of hunting down. So the idea here is that we're trying to lessen the clicks, and that way you are becoming more efficient. So just a better way to navigate the drawing, just like I want to look at the section for this particular section, click on the section, brings me to that right away. If I'm in section view, I can take a look at my section navigator and kind of review all my sections really quickly that way. So it kind of puts in the zoom level at the model here and flips me from one section to another to review the design really quickly that way. Similar to the corridor section editor, but this is actually using your section views. if you do any work with the pipe networks or utility design in general, you'd want to know, for example, the crossing here. We have a pressure pipe crossing underneath the sewer or on top of the sewer, and maybe I would like to understand the clearance here. Obviously, we can take a look at this in the object viewer and be able to tell, like so. Just normal Civil 3D tools here, so just to see the clearance. But let's say I want to measure this and figure out what is the clearance, or maybe I want to tabulate this, put it on my construction sheets. So we have a nice little tool here, create utility crossing analysis, very similar to the pipe network interference check that we have already, except that it is able to interfere between pressure and gravity. In Civil 3D, we cannot do that. So this adds a little bit more flexibility of what you can do. Create utility crossing analysis. I can select a pressure line and the storm line that I'm interested in. All right, hit OK. And, I get a simple Kogo point. And the Kogo point has added user-defined properties to tell me the bottom network, the top network, the elevation, the top elevation of the bottom pipe, and the crown of the top elevation and the bottom invert elevation, and then it does the math and gives you the elevation difference. Now, once I have this information, I can really easily create a table on my sheets, and I can have, well, this is not the right table. Let's choose the right table. Let's do that one more time. Let's choose the right table from here. Add table, select my label, and choose the right table this time, utility crossing. So this is a table I prepared, and basically gives me the point number and then the information about the crossing and the clearance tabulated. I often do this on my construction sheets. So now I have it really easy, and it's dynamic. So if the design changes or anything, I can update my table really quickly without the need to worry about it. Another really nice feature here that basically is the golden feature, I feel like, from all of the tools that we have, is the ability to redesign the pipe network in a one-click kind of manner. So I have a profile view here for my pipe run. These are pipe network gravity pipes, and we have a pipe editor. And when I open the pipe editor, I simply select the beginning of my run and then the end of my run. It can be the end of the profile view or somewhere in the middle. Doesn't need to be at the very end here. Well, once we do that, we get a dialog, and it's a modeless dialog box, so we can interact with this drawing as you have the dialog open. Maybe put the dialog in a different monitor, and we can really easily redesign this whole network in one place. So for example, I know that the design here is flowing upward by mistake. All right, I need this pipe to invert the slope to pointing downwards. So it's obviously designed wrong, and I want to fix that. So I can say I want to hold the beginning elevation here on the right side, and then I want to say I want to go maybe at a particular slope. So I can say I want to go down at 1% slope, for example, and you'll see that it actually has a little preview of what's going on. So I know that I need to go at -1, for example, and then let's say 197. I need to go 1%, and I need to set my invert elevation at the beginning here, and then maybe I want to do a drop of 0.5, and I should be able to see the design update itself really quickly. as I go here. All right, and if I hit apply, takes into account the parameters, and it redesigns the system for me. It's really easily in one click. I know that I did this. It should be below the ground. Let's say 190 here, 190, and you can see like so it drops down really quickly. And now it's designed, fixed, and everything good. Now, if you would do this in Civil 3D, definitely is able to do it. The only problem is that you select one pipe at a time, go into pipe properties one at a time, and re-input the information for the pipe. And you'd have to do this 4 times. And if we're thinking about it a little bit, maybe a minute per dialog box here, so 4 minutes just to design 4 pipes, and it's a time-consuming process for many people. And this need one single place, one-stop shop to redesign the pipe front. So really great. Another really nice feature that's been wanted for a long time is the ability to swap multiple parts really quickly. In Civil 3D, one of the problems is that we need to swap one part at a time. With our little tool here, we can swap multiple parts. So I can say I want to swap things between this pipe, this structure, and that structure. It selects everything in between. And let's say I would like to swap the pipes to a different size pipe, for example. Let's say I want it to be a 4-inch pipe for some reason. All right, so I go there, and that the pipe has been resized. All of the pipes in the middle, so 3 pipes in one go. So really nice feature here to just makes it much more efficient with redesigning pipe networks. One of my favorite tools, to be honest. Next is just the ability to organize your drawings a little bit. So one of the nice features here is we typically have like a couple dozen, or maybe not a couple dozen, but maybe half a dozen assemblies. Hopefully not many more than that. And if you're sharing drawings with other people, it's nice to document what assemblies are in the drawing, right? And we can typically look at the model in Prospector here and be able to look at the assemblies that we have, and we can go select it, zoom to it, and here we now found it. But it's nice to label it on the drawings as well for other people. So one little click here, label assemblies. We can select an AutoCAD text style that we'd like to label with, and basically puts in a small text box here that gives me the name of the object. And if you have like 6 of those, then it's really nice and be able to tell which one is which really quickly. Next up is the ability to have number of alignments that we have in the drawing here, and it's nice to be able to create profile views as well as profiles like in one go, especially if you have a number of alignments and we want to create profile views for the sheets really quickly. You can do that one alignment at a time, create one profile view for each alignment one at a time. But if I have a couple of them and I want to create them all together, we have a button for that. So right here I have 2 alignments, the red and green alignments. And if you take a look at it in my Prospector, I named one alignment A and alignment B. Now alignment A and alignment B don't have a surface profile either. All right, so they only have layout profiles. All right, so with a simple click, create multiple profiles. I can come in here, select the alignments that I'm interested in. Also create a surface profile for both of those. All right, so I can select my surface from the menu, give it a style, give it a label set if I wish, and then simply hit OK. And I can put them somewhere, and they're nicely stacked on top of each other, nicely organized. They have been created for me together. They can be 2 or they can be 10. And it also created my surface profiles for me. Now I have them. All right, so now I can do some things with the surface profiles if I wish. One of the feature improvements that we have here is the label feature line and profile view. So right now, if you select a feature line, like I have this feature line right here, and I project it on a profile view, we do have the ability to place labels on our feature line in profile view. That's pretty typical. So we have the feature line projected, and I labeled it with the grade here. But notice that the labels in plane, it's going at 1%, 0.5% around the curve, and then -5% here. The labels in profile are not the same. And Civil 3D does not label feature lines based on the feature line grade. It labels the feature lines based on the elevation difference in profile view on the grid. And this is something that is a little misleading because the labels that you get is inaccurate. So around the curve here, I'm going at a 0.5%, whereas in the view, because the view is kind of flattened out, it doesn't have the curve, the length is a little shorter, and therefore the label is different for the grade. So in order to remedy this issue, we have the label feature line in profile view command. So simply select that. We can label a grade or a percent grade or slope run over rise, and then we can give it a prefix, a suffix, text height like we want to, and simply hit OK. Select the feature line, and then there we have the proper grade as identified by the feature line elevations, not from the elevations on the profile view. So this is obviously a lot more accurate. It reflects the design, and it's dynamic. So if my feature line changes, like if we do this, like let's say I want to go instead of 0.5, let's do 1.25. As you can see, the label in plane updates correctly. The label in profile does not, but our label does. So it's dynamically linked. It fixes itself. We don't have to worry about it. Now, if somebody opens this drawing that does not have our MicroCAD Civil 3D tools, they're still going to be able to see this text box. It's just not going to be dynamically updating anymore. But the drawing itself is still fully workable with any other Civil 3D application that even if it doesn't have the tools installed. Next up is the ability to create alignments from feature lines. In Civil 3D, we typically are able to create alignments from objects, and the objects here are AutoCAD elements, AutoCAD entities. And if we create, like I can explode the feature line and get it a polyline and then create an alignment from that. But I also lose the profile elevations because the feature line does have elevations that I've worked so hard for. So it would be nice to create the alignment as well as a profile from the feature line elevations. So we have a tool for that. Create from feature line. We can select the feature line. We can give it a name, give it a style. Let's say alternative. Give it a layer, give it a label set. And then the nice thing about this is that I can capture the feature line elevations and create a profile for it as well. So I can have a profile created for me and I don't lose this data. So here we have the profile from the alignment vertex elevations created for me. As well as one of the tools that is really nice is the join alignments command. This is a new command for us for when you install Civil 3D 2021 and the MicroCAD Civil 3D tools on 21. you get the new join alignments command inspired by the Civil 3D Ideas Forum. A lot of people have been wanting to be able to join alignments for a while. We typically have a whole bunch of alignments, and sometimes if they overlap, or we might as well just create one long alignment. So I can say join alignment, select my alignment, and then I can join the profiles as well if I want to, but here it is. I have one single long alignment now created for me, and I didn't lose the data that made up these things. So very, very handy when you have like maybe a highway job that you're working on, that you need maybe you started out with a legacy alignment and you're joining in with a proposed section, and you just want to create one continuous long alignment. Moving along, do we have any questions in the meantime? All right, no questions for now. One of the tools that improves the performance of the application is the grading tool. So Civil 3D by nature has the grading pipe projection tools available to us, and they are pretty good. They're very powerful. The performance seems to be on the downside when I have a lot of grading objects in the drawing. A lot of people have been pointing out the performance of the drawing goes a little bit slow, and the reason is there is a lot of math behind the scenes when we are projecting feature lines, and we have a similar solution here where we can create grading objects using native AutoCAD elements, so 3D polylines instead of feature lines. What that does is it lessens the load on the software a little bit, so it's not as intensive, and for that the performance doesn't suffer as much. So we simply have like a 3D polyline. It's an AutoCAD element, not a Civil 3D element, and we can use this element in its own format to create grading for it. So let's say this is a building pad, and I want to grade to the existing surface below here. I can click create grading, select my 3D polyline, select the side that I want to go to, and I'll do enter for entire length. Once I do, it creates me the typical grading template that I have here. I have one that says pad set. I created this one, so this is my default. If I didn't have a default, then it'll be empty, and then I can create my own grading criterias, very similar to Civil 3D, but you don't actually need to create your grading criteria beforehand. They are already available to you, prepared and ready to go. So over here we have a grading method of offset and slope. We have a lot of different criterias that we can choose from. We have slope to surface, slope to a particular elevation, relative elevation, and same with the offset tools. So let's say I actually want to add another criteria here, and we can put this criteria first. So I can organize my criterias, and let's say the first one here is offset relative elevation. And let's say I'm doing like a small little curve, so we'll do an offset of 6 inches, and a height of also 6 inches, 0.5. And then from here I can slope to my I can do another offset, so offset slope, and I can say I want to define the format by a percent grade, and the slope is going to be like, let's say negative 2%, and the offset, let's say I'm going to do 10 feet, and that updates on the screen right away. And then finally I can slope an existing surface. The slope format again is that would be rise over run, the cut slope, the fill slope that I want, and the surface I want to target. And I can say draw the grading transitions if I have transitions, create a grading surface for me, apply a style. We also have settings here to determine if I want to raise or not. If I don't want to show the raise, I can turn it off. All right, so a little bit of flexibility there. Once I hit OK though, it'll create me the civil 3D surface, taking into consideration those 3D polylines that has been generated for me. So there is the whole thing is made up of 3D polylines, where that makes it a little bit flexible, and it's still dynamic, just like feature lines. But without the heavy load of grading objects. So it just makes the performance of the software a little bit easier. But we can take a look at this in Object Viewer. And we can see that we have graded the thing, and we have the small little curve here that I put in, and it's grading to the surface. So similar concept, just a different way of going around your grading needs. And then finally, we have one of my favorite tools is the add station and offset to points. It's probably the tool that I wanted the most. Basically, we have a whole bunch of Gogo points in the drawing here, and yeah, we can label those Gogo points with northing, easting, description, and so on. But we can't have a station and offset label from an alignment. Likewise, we can create station offset labels from an alignment, but those would be labels and not Gogo points. So like to marry the two, we have a feature here that says add station offset to points, which basically when you execute that, and I can select it by a group. So I have utility poles here, and I can select a relative alignment that I want to measure from. You can also measure to another secondary alignment if you have an intersection situation, if you have two alignments. But then once I hit OK, I get the information here. And this information is saved in a user-defined property. So we have the reference alignment here listed, the station value for the station 1 value for reference 1, the offset distance, and the left or right side, as well as we also have the suffix offset 2, prefix 2, station 2 for a secondary reference if we have a secondary alignment. And those are dynamic. So if I move my Gogo point, I don't need to worry about fixing the labels or anything. They are available to me right away. Now, the nice thing about this is that now we can use the native tools in Civil 3D to export this for stakeout purposes or construction documentation, whereas with alignment labels, we cannot. So with alignment labels, it's on plan, yes, but we can't export it out to Excel or CSV or anything like that. So with that being said, this is a quick tour for the Civil 3D tools. Like I said, we also have the AutoCAD tools that we can you can install alongside this to work with your legends on your sheets. We have tools for working with AutoCAD elements that makes it really nice as well.